There is only a single interview question that is usually asked from this topic, and that is auto boxing and not unboxing. Okay, and all right. So, so. Okay, it can be basic only runner. See, the thing is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for the confirmation. All right. So see, usually what I used to do, int a equals to 10, right? But I can also do integer dot parse int and then enter 10. By this, I'll get the integer object, right? Let's call it b. If I print value of primitive data type int primitive int, and it would be a, and if I want to check value of object integer, right, then I can print p and I can run it as well, right? So both the values are same, right? And we have multiple times seen this wrapper classes. In the final class also we have seen this. In the interfaces we also have seen this, right? So the thing with this classes, you will see that it was from the very first time, right? From the first version. So anything which comes with the 1.0, it's a legacy, because it was present when the Java was written for the very first time, right? So it was provided at the same moment when the Java was written, right? When the int a was there, then only this was provided. And what was the reason to provide these things? Objects. I mean, wrapper classes. We call them wrapper classes. So, what do you think? Why do we need wrapper classes? See, we are working. This is OOPS language, right? So everything we are doing, in most of the cases, if we want and if we are expecting an object to be there, and we are trying to pass the and we are trying to pass the primitive data types, right? What's wrong with the primitive data type? As soon as the method ends, if I'm initializing a value inside a method, if the method ends, then object the value also gets deleted, right? But I create a object inside a method, then object will persist in the heap, right? If no pointers are pointing to that particular memory in the heap or the object in the heap, then only it will be considered for deleting, right? Or it will be considered as garbage for the garbage collector. And also you will see in many of the cases that like we will eventually do are going to do list, and let's call list new, and then array list, right? And let's do one thing, arrays dot as list, and then 1 2 3 4 5, right? See, this is the list, right? And if I try to print the list, we are going to cover this in the later sessions. Okay, arrays as list does not make sense for as list not to be present. Arrays, okay, this is the as list. Why it's not visible? This is static. Okay, cannot resolve. This thing does not make sense. Arrays. Okay, let me stop the recording for a while. Recording as well. Now if I try to run this, we will find the list, right? Over here, 1 2 3 4 5. But the thing is, over here you'll see that there will be an warning, right? And that this is raw, what is raw, what is not raw, right? And it's also saying that you can use integer over here, right? With the list, you can use integer over here, right? So why integer? And if I try to run now this thing, So again, same thing, right? But the warning is not there. This is called generics. We'll see it in the collection classes. But the thing is, I can use the object over here. I cannot use the primitive type here, right? I cannot use primitive type over here. If I try to run this, so in the collection we cannot use the primitive data type, and that's not just inside. That's not just with the list. It is with a lot of things. Like if I go inside the list class, we are not going to sub extends. All right, the collection extends E, right? So E is an element. This is again the generics. We are not going to cover this in our course, but let's just imagine that something I'm trying to send, like, right? So if I'm trying to send something, and that thing should be the child class, right? It's saying that extend C, so whatever I'm sending should be the child class. It's called the wildcard. So what eventually happens is I'm working with the object, right? So over here I can say I can accept the numbers, right? And now whatever you are sending should be a number, and when I say a number, you will see integer is a number, right? There is a abstract class number, and if you go to the long, it also extends the number. If you go to the double and other classes float, it's a number, right? So if I go to the generics part and I just change the E with the number, then only the child classes of number class or the number class object, and there can be no number class object because the number class is the abstract class, so only the child class objects of the number class can be passed to that method. So in this, whenever we are trying to write something generic, right? So over here, how can a primitive data type be considered as a child class of a integer number, a number object, right? So we need object because it's OOPS language, so we need objects. Only primitive data type cannot help us to work properly with our system. So that's why from the very start, it's not like they have created the Java in the first version, they rolled out, and then later on they got this thing that all right, we need to make sure that our primitive data types are represented as the object as well. From the very start they were aware of this thing, so from the very start they created the wrapper classes, right? It was there from the legacy code. Am I audible?
Yes.
All right, and then what we can do, all right, let's go to the notes. Okay, all right. So Java is an object-oriented programming, so it represents everything in the form of objects, but Java 8 supports primitive data but Java supports 8 primitive data types, right? And these are not a part of object, right? So to represent that primitive data type in the form of the object, we require 8 Java classes, and these classes are called wrapper classes, right? All the wrapper classes are provided in the java.lang. Okay, there used to be a interview question earlier. Nowadays no one asks this question, that what's the default package that we get. So java.lang package is the default package that we get. Right now it's not a interview question, earlier it was one. And these are all the immutable classes. We have already covered this thing, right, earlier. How they are immutable, we already know how to create a immutable class as well. So they are final, their values are final and private, no setters, right? All those things we have already seen this. And now over here you can see the number I was talking about, right? Object class is the parent class of all Java objects, right? Then there are number, character, and boolean, and inside the number we have the child classes byte, short, integer, long, float, and double, right? 6 and 2, 8 data types, right? Visible? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
All right. So see, I mean, there is nothing. I mean, you can just read the document as well. There is nothing inside it that we need to know. This is byte, so this byte will be there, right? So they have different constructor. So like we'll see how we can create it. There is toString method, right? We already know the toString method. toString method and the object class returns the hash code, right? But toString method in the wrapper classes returns the value. So this thing we have already covered in the string part, we have covered in the string sessions. And okay, this is the normal exception, not important. Conversion string to this. All right, value of a parseInt, and that's it. And then this auto boxing in, and boxing is the only thing, right? So let's do one thing. Okay, instead of writing this, okay, we can write another a class and runner2. Okay, or should we write? Okay, we can write it, we can remove this thing. And okay, let's keep this. And what we can do now, see, this is a wrapper class, right? Integer is a wrapper class, right? So it has two methods. One is parseInt. All right. One is parseInt and another one is value of. Right. So earlier it used to be a question, right? Difference between the parseInt and the value of. But right now nobody asked this question. So the difference between the parseInt and integer dot value of was parseInt will return you the primitive data type, visible, and value of will return the object wrapper class. All right. So if you want integer, primitive integer, then you will go with the integer dot parseInt, and let's say 100. Cool. And if I want to integer dot value of 100, then I can get the object or wrapper integer. Cool. So if I print integer, okay, primitive integer and a wrapper integer, right? If we run this, both will provide 100, right? There will be no difference. So whenever I try to print the object, then object class toString method will be executed, right? So obviously over here 100 is printing, so that means the toString method in the integer class is being overridden to print the value, right? toString and value and it's returning the string part of the value. Cool. Internal workings are there, you can read it if you want. And that's it. At the last thing over this, right? The only interview question of this is auto boxing and auto unboxing, and it is very simple. Okay, let me just delete this. It has a single interview question, not bad. All right, so all right, so auto boxing, not unboxing, and unboxing. So this is a class, so I can create a method public void and add, right? And I'm taking integer a and integer b. Cool. And I'll return a plus b, and let me just change the void to integer. Visible? This int method visible?
Yes.
So the thing that I'm going to do is, if I replace this, let me comment it out, and if I convert this, okay, let me tell me one thing. If I copy paste this, will there be an error or not? If I copy paste the same method again, will there be an error over here or not, or it will be considered overloading?
There will be an error.
Yes, there will be an error because exactly same thing is there, right? Either the number of parameters needs to be different or the data types needs to be different, right? It can be float and something. Even the sequence can also be different. But if I'll make this integer and integer, right? So the only difference is that I am sending the from primitive data type and make it the wrapper classes. So if I remove the comments, then will there be an error or no error?
No error.
No error.
Okay, maybe Kishore, I guess we already did this right during the Java session, Spring Boot session. All right, there will be no error, right? Because what was the condition? The data type's number of parameters needs to be different, or the data type needs to be different, or the sequence of the data type needs to be different, right? So over here, the data types, if we are saying that it's integer, but it's different, right? Because one is an object and one is primitive data type. If I copy paste this again, then there will be an error, right? Okay. I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's add primitive add. Okay, int, and over here wrapper add integer. Cool. So this is our auto boxing and unboxing, and then we will start with the runner. And over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an autoboxing and unboxing class. Autoboxing equals to new autoboxing and unboxing, and simply add, right? So tell me one thing, if I pass 1 and 2, which method will be called? Okay, better would be, okay, try to answer which one will be called.
By default, we take int, so the primitive one.
So you are saying that primitive should be called, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so see, over here primitive is called, right? What if I remove the primitive? So this was not the question. Now is the question, right? I have removed the primitive. Now what? If I run this, will there be an error? Alright, let's make another thing, right? Make sure that it's primitive, right? We already know that it's primitive because the primitive is executed. But let's say a equals to 1 and int b equals to 2, right? So change these values with a and b. Now it's definitely primitive, right? If anyone has any doubts, right? And I just removed the primitive add method from the autoboxing and unboxing class. See, no add method, right? If I run this code now, what will happen? Okay. Let me ask you two to three things more. Okay. So let's say that I have integer c and integer dot value of, and then let's say 3. Okay, and then I have d as well, and let's name it 4, right? Now if I send c and d, cool. Okay, dot add. Now I want to pass c and d, cool, and c and d is object wrapper classes, right? And if I pass a and d, one is wrapper and one is primitive, right? I'm audible?
Yes.
Alright, so what should be the output? Alright, the answer is the add method will work for each one of them. Now let's see why. First, check with this thing when I'm sending the primitive data types, right? So here comes the concept of auto boxing and unboxing. It's called automatic conversion of the primitive to the wrapper is called if I have primitive data type or string. See, primitive and string, why string is different? Because string is an object, right? Not a part of the wrapper classes. Over here you can also see there is no, these are the primitive data types, right? And okay, we have already covered how integer works, right? Integer is a byte array in Java, right? So cool. I mean, no need to dive deep into that. All right, no worries. So okay, where were we? Okay, here. So string is different, right? Because string uses the primitive data type byte array. All right. So if I pass anywhere in the method or anywhere, if I pass a primitive data type, right, it will be automatically if the whenever I'm passing the primitive data type and the method constructor or anything is expecting a object, then what happens, that it directly converts the primitive data type to the object, and without us knowing. This concept was introduced in Java 1.5 version. It was not earlier. That's why the value of and the parse int, the parse triple x, where the x represent the data type. It can be the parse integer, and xxx you can represent with the float, the double, right? So the parse and the value of. So these were important because we need to have object or some other thing. Okay, up to version 1.4 we need to convert it manually, right? So in these two ways we used to create object. The reason was the parseInt method usually creates primitive data type. So to create the object I can only use the constructor or the value of method. And the automatic conversion of the primitive to wrapper object is called auto boxing, and the reverse is called auto unboxing. That thing we are seeing. So what Java is doing, it knows that A and B is primitive data type, right? But if I send it here, we need objects, right? So Java is going to create an object for them internally without knowing us. All right, and this concept is called auto boxing. Cool. And the reverse can also be done. For example, in the auto unboxing, let me add multiply, right? Public and integer and multiply, right? And I can ask for two primitive data types, int a and b, and I can just simply return primitive multiply and int and int, right? And I can simply return a into b, right? So if I auto boxing dot multiply, if I try to pass the wrapper classes, where is the wrapper classes? C and D, right? C and D, if I try to pass, then will it work? And it will work, and it will work due to auto unboxing concept. See, if I run this thing, now you will see the primitive multiply is called, right? But I have passed the objects, right? All right, give me just 1 minute. Okay, so is this thing clear? Auto boxing, auto unboxing?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was the only thing that is important, and then the rest thing you can see the factory method. These are usually a part of the design patterns, and but the thing is, I mean this is not a design pattern thing, so we can okay, all right, only one page is there. All right, cool. So see, the factory methods are part of the creational design pattern method. It is there, so let me just go through it. So but any method which is going to return an object is called the factory method. Cool. And there are different types of factory method. If the method is instance, it is returning a new object, so it will be called the instance factory method. If this is static, then it will provide the static, and if the object will provide a object of different class, then it's called the pattern factory method. All right, give me just 1 minute again.